right, everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Jordan Report and your host, Robert Jordan. Please like, subscribe, and share. All right, I want to go over the last immigration raid down in Mississippi, and I just want to cover a few points. Not just the raids, but the reaction of our political leaders to the raid. It'll shock you just hearing what they're saying and doing down in Mississippi. But anyway, I'm going to give you a good overview of the raid, just a good replay of what's happening on the local news.
Schools, daycares, and families are left to figure out what to do now.
Sarah Donchi is here now with more on the aftermath of those raids. Sarah?
Obviously a difficult situation for some of those families. For some of these children in Mississippi, the first day of school was interrupted with the shock that their parents had been arrested by ICE agents. Neighbors and friends stepped in to watch the kids whose parents had been detained, but there are still children who are wondering tonight what will happen to them if their parents don't come back.
I don't want my dad.
Today, we saw the aftermath of the ICE raids in Mississippi. Children begging to see their parents.
My dad didn't do nothing. He's not a criminal.
11-year-old Magdalena Gomez Gregorio was reunited with her dad today. Cristina Persalta is the godmother of two boys whose mother was detained.
He said he just wants his mom back.
Nearly 300 were released from custody with notices to appear in court. But tonight, CBS News has learned ICE didn't notify local school districts or Child Protective Services prior to the raids, leaving schools scrambling to make sure students had a place to go after classes ended.
There's not really a way to plan for this.
Tony McGee is the superintendent of Scott County School District in Forest, Mississippi, near the Koch Foods chicken processing plant in Morton.
It's kind of uncharted ground for us and uncharted waters.
The raids were focused on 7 food processing plants in 6 Mississippi cities. Hundreds of federal law enforcement officers detained migrants and processed them at this now empty National Guard airport hangar.
We can't have U.S. employers exploiting migrants, having them work in conditions that are unacceptable and that are non-competitive with American workers.
When pressed by CBS News, immigration officials couldn't say for sure whether any of the people still in custody are single parents who have no one to take care of their children. Today, there was an uptick in absences of Latino and Hispanic students from class, which McGee attributes to fear of going out after the raids.
You know, people become scared, become nervous, and so our job is to calm fears right now.
In all, 680 people were arrested yesterday. Almost half of them were released by this morning. The raids had reportedly...
All right, that was an overview of what had just happened. And I just wanted to get the mayor's reaction. The mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, which is what these smaller towns are outside of. This is Jackson's mayor. This is what he was saying about the raid. Now you got to take into account where Jackson is and its position, the condition of the people there. Jackson is 80% black. It has a poverty rate of 30%. The schools don't work. And of course, the high crime rate. But anyway, here's what the Jackson, Mississippi mayor, Chokwe Antar Lumumba. He's the son of the last mayor. I forgot how the last mayor died, but he's the son who took over. Posted a plea for churches to give sanctuary to illegal aliens in the wake of ICE raids on several chicken processing plants in Mississippi. Wednesday, they detained about 680 illegal aliens. It was the largest work enforcement actions in the nation's history, according to the statement released by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Southern District, Mississippi. Okay, so the mayor is not protecting his citizens. The mayor is worried about the illegal aliens who've taken these jobs. The city of Jackson is firmly committed to promoting secure and safe communities. We unflinchingly uphold the canon of human rights for human beings. The ICE raids are both dehumanizing and ineffective as a tactic for protecting citizens from potential harm. These raids will only further alienate communities from law enforcement, disrupt community policing efforts, and cause law enforcement to forfeit credibility, trust among the people that they are sworn to protect and serve. I'm calling upon the faith institutions in our community to become sanctuaries for our immigrant neighbors and protect them from potential harm. The city of Jackson strongly objects to Trump's administration's ICE raids. And here's his official statement. All right, now let me show you just a little local newspaper here about Jackson. This is what I found just right on the news. Right on the internet. Less than 5 months, this was printed in April 29. Less than 5 months into the year, the lives of 32 people ended violently at the hands of another in Jackson. The homicide victims include a pastor, a pawn shop manager, a middle school student. Accused killers include husbands, friends, neighbors, and strangers. So this is another one of the, this is in the Black Belt. This is, like I said, it's 80% black town. It's about 110,000 people. The schools don't work. They got a poverty rate of 30%. Okay, and this man he's not worried about his people. He's worried about the immigrants. People who are in his country, in his state, illegally. Now let me show you this stuff here, because this makes the story even strange. This is also out of the Clarion Ledger, which is Jackson's local newspaper. While the U.S. immigration officials detained 680 workers Wednesday in Mississippi, what happened to the companies who hired them? The raids targeted small towns near Jackson, with the workforce comprised mostly of Hispanic immigrants at Pecos Food facilities in Canton, Bay Springs, and Sebastopol. I can't pronounce that. Cox Foods processing plants in Palahatchie, and Morton and PH Foods in Morton, and Pearl River Foods plant in Carthage. These were the Latino workers, the immigrant workers, were the majority of the workers in these places. I did see black workers there, but the majority says comprised mostly of Hispanic immigrants. So my question is, what in the world would they be importing Hispanic labor into a place like Jackson, Mississippi, where these people would obviously need these jobs? These are obviously good jobs. These are processing plants. It's probably hard work, but I know the pay is good. So I'm trying to figure out why would the mayor and everybody not insist on these jobs going to black people? All along. They must have been doing this all along. Okay? And so that's the question. Now I want to go to this last article here, and I want to show you how this is affecting us on an overall level. Census Bureau data. Non-citizens earn $9,000 more per year than black Americans. This is where this is leading to, because this is when you see what the mayors and the people are doing in Jackson, Mississippi. Nobody's looking out for black people's interests. The only people who's looking out for black people's interests now is Trump and these ICE raids. The article goes on to say, importing cheap labor, documented or undocumented, has a real economic cost, and it is black Americans who are the most harmed. Anyone who has basic understanding of economics knows about the law of supply and demand, which essentially states the law of supply and demand is a theory that explains the interaction between sellers of a resource and the buyers of that resource. The theory defines how the relationship between the availability of a particular product and the desire or demand for that product has on its price. Generally, low supply and high demand increase price, and vice versa. So this is what's affecting us. This is why the people of Jackson, Mississippi, got a 30% poverty rate. Okay, these people are bringing in immigrants into this black economic zone. This is all the jobs there belong to black people. That's who lives there. These people are imported in, so they don't belong there. Okay? Applying the law of supply and demand to the labor market, the law of supply and demand means that fewer workers, the sellers of their labor service, available, the higher the wages the buyers of the worker services must pay. Conversely, when there are more workers than jobs, the price of labor falls. This is how too many immigrants in the labor market, legally and illegally, can harm American workers. According to the Census Bureau, in full below, it appears that black Americans are the most harmed by immigration. So you just have to ask yourself, why do our leaders fight to keep us poor? That's the question, people, because that's what this is. I mean, this is politics, man. Your leaders are supposed to be protecting you. Your leaders are not supposed to be looking out for people who are in the country illegally. They weren't elected by, this mayor wasn't elected by illegal aliens. This mayor was elected by black people in Jackson, Mississippi. So my suggestion is to the people of Jackson, Mississippi, that they need to either vote this dude out of office in the next election or demand a recall.